everyone, welcome to another episode of Nell and Friends. Today we have Karen with us, who is the proud owner of the Farm Café in Wokingham, and who's really going to annoy me for the next 30 minutes with having that amazing food in front of me. Is so unfair. So unfair. Anyway, so Karen, welcome for being here. Thank you very much for being here. Maybe we can start off with, tell us a little bit more about you in the business.
Yes, sure. Hello. Sorry about the cream tea. National Cream Tea Day on Friday, so I had to get a plug in. So
I'll go on then.
It's a bit disconcerting though, seeing that much cream around my ears. But anyway,
I'm already looking at that going, that's just for one person, right? And for one scone.
It totally is, yeah.
That's
Two scones, yeah. So,
two scones, that's one scone.
Oh, there's another one behind. Anyway, enough of the food. We always get
focus.
So basically the Farm Café, based on a garden centre, our family's garden centre over in rural Wokingham, right out in the sticks. And yeah, we set the business up literally to be all about really high quality ingredients and, you know, fresh food cooked from scratch. And I don't know, we sort of turned into this sort of constantly growing enigma that's sort of become a hub of the local community, where everybody comes to celebrate special occasions and the customers vote for us. So we've won sort of best breakfast in Berkshire and all that sort of thing. So we've gone from this little tiny cafe to this 140 seat community hub that serves good food, apparently.
It does. I can vouch for that. How long have you guys been running? Let's just put that a little bit in a perspective.
So 12 years now, 12 and a half years.
Okay.
Started off as a little 30 seat sort of tea room, planned it to be a little tiny part-time job for me. And as I say, 140 seat award-winning garden centre restaurant. Not sure what happened there, but
I was going to say it slightly escalated beyond what it was meant to be.
Yeah. Entrepreneurial spirit, I think they call that. It can't keep a good one down.
No, they can't. That is true. So obviously hospitality industry has been severely hit through this lockdown and this coronavirus crisis. So if I take you back to sort of March time or even the beginning of the year, at what point did you realize that there was something major going on that was really going to affect you guys? What was sort of the key things that jumped out for you when you think back?
It's funny, actually. I've done as much thinking back as thinking forward during this time, because if there's other hospitality businesses out there, they might, or other small businesses, they might agree that we didn't really recover from last summer because of Brexit. So there was like this definite dip towards the end of the year, didn't pick up at Christmas time, which is fairly normal. And then January and February was just odd. It was flat. And as you say, it was obvious that the normal ramp up that you would see in the beginning of a new year wasn't there. And it was difficult because there was lots of viruses around, and I had one anyway, so I wasn't in the business very much. So from the sidelines already, I was panicking, like, hey guys, something's not looking good. So yeah, we definitely saw something. January, February, March is the busiest time of year for us, and it didn't come. So yeah, shocking.
So shocking. And I was going to say, so when you all of a sudden get that announcement to go, we are going into lockdown, everyone's closing basically, what was your first sort of thought and reaction at that stage?
It wasn't really like that. There was sort of 2 weeks of chaos. I mean, the information that was coming out, I mean, it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it, because this is something that was building at a hell of a crescendo. So, you know, we were talking about a flu-like thing, don't worry, and then we were talking about a pandemic, and then we were talking about, oh my God, there's people, you know, dropping dead all over the world. And for us as a business, we were, you know, to use a word of Brad's, we weren't just pivoting, we were spinning on a sixpence. And there was all this noise, you know, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And I was actually getting to the point a week before lockdown where I just wanted us to close, because it felt so dangerous to be open. you know, for staff and customers. So actually for us, the day that lockdown came, it was a huge relief, because we wanted to close 2 weeks before.
Wow.
Because we're a really tiny converted stable, and you know, the biggest queue I've ever had is 65 people on a Sunday morning queuing to come in. Wow. And sometimes we're standing room only and people are standing over tables waiting to sit down and eat. And you know, we're really tight, close environment, and with this message about this, you know, sort of deadly virus, you know, as somebody with, you know, not particularly great health, it was really panicky for me, but I was very panicked for my customers and staff. And I would have shut mid-March. I was waiting for that to come, and the day they said lockdown, I burst into tears with relief.
I remember that day.
Which was odd. Everyone else was crying that their business was about to die, and I was crying that thank goodness somebody had made the right decision at the time.
Yeah. So we go into lockdown. You kind of have that relief, because for you it kind of needed to come a little bit earlier, but you decide obviously the business is going to close. Then what did you guys do then?
Well, I guess in reality we didn't think it would be that long, so we needed it to close while we got ahead of the news and we got the government announcement. So we wanted it to close for safety at that point. Reality is we didn't want it to close long term.
Yeah.
And we had tried to operate as a takeaway for the last 2 weeks before lockdown. So for us, you know, we couldn't open as a takeaway. The whole site closed, so they locked the gates on the garden centre. So then we had well, if we're going to do a delivery, how are we going to cope with being locked all the time? And so for me, I had a double dilemma. I was told to shield. My doctors were all on the phone, don't leave the house, and sending me for vaccinations and all sorts. And so on the flip side, I wasn't allowed to leave the house. But on the other point, like a caged tiger, I wanted to be out running my business and doing something for the community. So literally I was like a shut bird, and Vic just kept saying, you know, calm down. And I was panic stricken for about the next 2 weeks.
So if I think back about that time, we did, you were fantastic in the sense that you were on every webinar that we were doing, every growth club we were doing. You were there because you, in typical Karen style, but you wanted to make sure that you were planned, that you were prepared, that you were looking at all the options, that you were absorbing as much information as you could to make a decision of where to go. Now, I think you were probably also not so much one of my only clients, but one of the first clients to go, right, I've got a cash flow forecast in place. I know how long we can survive. You were kind of on top of everything, despite not knowing what to do next.
Well, I think probably, although it sounds that it was chaotic and confused, in my mind it was crystal clear that I wanted to run a business and get some finances in. I'd been doing my cash flow forecasts in January because of the end of the previous year anyway, so I was ahead of the game. I already knew where the business was, and you do drum it into us to stay on top of the numbers, so I knew where the business was, and I knew being shut for any period of time more than 3 weeks was going to be a real dodgy situation. The best way I can describe it is that I literally wrote a new business every day. Every single day I cash flow forecasted and visioned a new business. Oh, we'll do this, grocery boxes. Oh, we'll do this for the key workers. We'll do meals for nurses. You know, every day I forecast a new business, and because our running costs of the business are so high, it's a 4-figure sum with the doors closed. There was nothing that was even viable. So this, as you rightly say, this big planner, this person who's got a vision for everything, had a vision every day for 2 weeks, went on every webinar, but couldn't use a single vision because the numbers didn't stack up. Couldn't do it.
So what was a turning point for you?
I don't know as there was a turning point. I think that every single thing I did with you and every day during lockdown was a baby step to getting open somehow. So in my mind, I had a framework. You know, I've got a team, really flexible. I've got a business, I've got a partner, I've got a business model. I never knew what the product was going to be, and every day I was ready for information or something that was going to help me put one of those businesses into play. And I guess the impetus was the money was running out.
Yeah.
So we had no choice, but we had to do something. And also it was a case of, if we didn't start to unlock ourselves, I don't think people would, but I was worried that our customers might forget about us. I was worried, there was a big noise in the industry that if you don't do something, a competitor might come along and your customers will go there and stay there when they open. And despite the fact we've got this huge following of, raving fans saying, we'll wait for you, I don't know, it's a bit like a long distance relationship. Will they? Or will they meet someone else? They say they'll wait for me, but they might have
someone else's scones might be nicer than mine.
She's got huge scones. How can I compete?
Oh gosh. If anyone has ever been in that position will totally understand that conversation. Oh gosh. Actually, I just quickly want to go back to the team. So your team, obviously, you work with quite a large team, quite a young team. All of a sudden we go from these guys being busy all the time to the cafe closed. How are they doing working from home, being furloughed?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the time, again, when the crescendo that week was happening, I had financial people and business people on my tail, a bit like I'm sure the Wetherspoons guys had, saying, make everyone redundant, the business is going to die, get rid of the lot. And I couldn't, and I was in tears. And I was saying to Vic, these people have got mortgages and families, and I come from a generation of entrepreneurs. My grandparents ran a business and had a team of bus drivers that they called their family, and I grew up with that, and we call our team our family. So the day that the Chancellor announced the furlough, I was in tears again. Oh, they can all stay. Ooh,
there was a lot of tears.
There was a lot of tears. So the team, nobody really can work from home because we're a cafe. So, and they can't be on furlough and help me with the business. So they literally are all out on furlough. I think 16, 17 of them in total. Okay. Zoom calls and things have been amazing. We've done, lots and lots of chats. We've got a private Facebook group that I update them all the time with what's going on and what's happening and what the government information means, because you have to disseminate that sort of through, what does this mean for you? So lots of communication's been key, lots of checking in. Few people have been anxious, so just getting people to talk through how they feel, see if we need to support them in any way. And just literally, if the government is able to support them at this time. We've not made any decisions because we don't know. Today we were told we were opening in July, and the other wonderful thing about the fact that, your team are people, and you can't look at them as a number on your payroll or your spreadsheet and say, oh, this person's a cost. You talk to every single person individually, which is how we've always motivated people, because we see what makes each one tick. So I rang every single member of staff and said, how do you feel? What are you doing during this? How are you keeping busy? And how do you feel about coming back? And then some say, well, I don't want to yet. I don't feel ready. Some, I'm shielding. I live with my grandparents. Some are like, I live with a key worker. I'm the main childcare provider. So there was this whole 17 odd people, with only like 6 who said they could come back in any time soon. So by talking to your individuals, you save yourself having to make tough decisions, because they choose what they want to do. And then you've got your natural transition of people, some students who are off to university in September, hopefully.
hopefully.
So they make the decision for you that, well, that's 2-3 less in the team because they're going anyway.
Yes.
So there's no need in my book for those rash decisions about people until you talk to them as individuals and see what they need and want. And therefore our situation is pretty much, you know, what the guys want.
So you've got this team sitting at home. You've got all the ideas sparking in your head, kind of not knowing where to turn and no idea. I mean, the 4th of July has been given as a bit of a reopen date, as a bit of a basic. Up until today, obviously, we didn't know that was going to be the case. Now, we talked a lot about what kind of extra services, new things can you do? Can we change the business? You know, all that kind of stuff. So you reopened. In a different kind of way. Is it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Right. Talk me through that.
So I worked for a Belgian company many years ago, and they were a fantastic bunch of guys. And there's a few things that sort of sit with me. And one of those messages that sits with me is obviously a very popular line in business. And that's just, you know, focus on what you're good at. Don't try, especially at this time, to try something that you couldn't actually do. So, you know, one of the things that we are fantastically good at in terms of, this is my team, all of them are fantastic bakers. You know, they all through lockdown, we're all doing lockdown leftover recipes. That's what was keeping us going. We were sharing recipes, baking things, and you know, they all love baking and they're all fantastic bakers. And before we closed, we had rave reviews about our afternoon teas and things like that. And of course, the other thing that we're well known for is our breakfasts, and they're award winning. So we basically went, right, okay, so the offering has to be some form of cake offering and some form of breakfast offering. So that's what we did. And funnily enough, this is bizarre, 4 years ago, we had a full order online lunch delivery service. And you could order and pay for your lunch online. We had a yellow banana van and we'd come around and deliver it to you. And would you believe, like 10 orders in 3 months. So we closed it down.
Yes.
So, you know, I dusted it off, updated the menu, relaunched it, and you know, it's now currently sitting at sort of 15% of our new turnover, and of course it's completely contactless. You know, order online, pay online, pick it up. You could even select a time on it. We love it. You know, everything that you were told to do is on this damn thing.
Yeah. So you're only open, so the last couple of weekends you've been open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, haven't you? Talk me through that first weekend when you guys were open.
So as you know, I love to build a bit of anticipation. So I was like a good fisherman, I was baiting the lake for a week before I went and fished it.
Perfect.
So getting everybody interested in what we were doing, and we pitched out there with our sort of specialist offers, and it's all pre-order. So just running around buying packaging for these hundreds of orders that we got.
So you're kind of downplaying this, Karen, because we need to put this in perspective, because you're going, oh, I'm running around, or well, actually you're not running around because you're still shielding, but you know, you reopen after this time 3 days a week. What, within an hour of you being open, you'd already sold out of your breakfast?
So we did the numbers. So basically hospitality has lost 100% of its revenue. So we did surveys. So before we opened, we did a on the ground survey at the garden centre, which opened 2-3 weeks ahead of us, and we went and asked people, if we were open, would you come? And literally 60% of the people on the garden centre said no. So they weren't ready for, you know, that sort of thing. We also had our own following, so we did some online surveys which were fantastic, really good response, and they sort of said, you know, 60% of them said yes. So we were like, well, it's quite a gamble, But what was fascinating is you always talk to us about our sort of social media and things like that. So our posts prior to lockdown, a good one would get us 600 shares, and you know, a bad one 300. When I started posting about reopening, I was hitting 1,000, 2,000, 2,500. When I released my menus, 3,800. My engagement went up 580% for releasing a menu about cake. So
I am telling you, food.
Yeah. so I said to Vic, I think we have to go for it. You know, we can make a decision in 3 days of whether it's viable. And then, because it was all pre-order, I did all the numbers and I said, right, if hospitality's lost, you know, 100 to 90 to 100% of its revenue, I'm going to say, if only we get 15% through the door, we'll plan on that. So, you know, planned on about 100 odd quid a day coming through. And the first day was 6 or more times that. And we were just flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted. And we weren't sure if that was first day excitement or if that was a picture for how things are going to be. The second day was a bit quieter, but not much. And we're like, And then the third day was busier again. And we were like, this is interesting. So first week was, yeah, absolutely fantastic. The second week, very different, because obviously Father's Day. So, yeah, as I say, well over 100 and 120 odd orders for cake, boxes, afternoon tea, you name it. We set one area of the cafe up like a warehouse dispatch area, and you know, nice. one of these. We baked nearly 400 mini cakes and sausage rolls and things on the Thursday before.
Madness. But how amazing though, because it's been such a stressful period, and it's been such a insecure time for all of you to then come back. And I know that you're not fully open yet, but at least come back to this kind of following, into this kind of response. What an amazing thing.
It's very interesting because as you know, I'm all about sort of pictures and analysis, and I drill down, you know, I'm visionary in that I see the big picture, but I drill down to see what it's telling me. And, you know, sometimes you get a bit of paralysis by analysis with that. But the online ordering wasn't as busy last week. And then I thought, I think that there was a novelty factor there in the first week. So the cakes were enormous last weekend and the online ordering wasn't. This weekend's going to be the test of all, because there is no big event. So other than it's picnic week, and we obviously do picnics, it's cream day on Friday, we should be getting some orders in. This time last week, we had probably 25-30% of our orders in. This week we have nothing.
Okay.
So this weekend, thank goodness it's our last as a takeaway, because I think there was a wee-woo going on, which is fine. Which is fine, you know. So the upshot is we will keep this running.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, we're going to keep this running on a smaller scale, because you know, life has changed. You can't pop to the supermarket for lunch anymore. You know, the world's going back to work. If you've got to queue for 20 minutes at Tesco's to get your lunch, a sandwich, and you're bored of cooking at home, so you're not going to take one to work, you know, what are those people getting back to work going to do? So hopefully they're going to order from us online and get a nice super fast lunch that they're going to order for 1 o'clock. So we're already pivoting again. We're like, we've got a system in place at how we're going to take that forward. So you know, the lunch online will service hopefully the office workers going forward. The afternoon teas will move in-house, and you know, probably add in a high tea as well, so that people who do come, but those people who aren't ready to get out and about, can still have a takeaway collection service. So we'll play it by ear for this weekend, but now all the focus is on the next stage, which is we can open on the 4th of July.
Hey, do you already know what that's going to look like for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nell, do
Of course I know that, but I have to ask the question for everyone who's watching, Karen.
I've probably known since the 24th of March, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, again,
Talk us through it, though.
Life is a weird thing. I mean, we were already, funnily enough, we nearly invested on a huge all-weather outdoor space. As I'd said to you at the time, we have this huge outdoor area that needed sprucing up, and it seemed like a really good idea to make it all weather, because then we could, you know, make use of the seats sort of all year round. Strangely enough, we decided not to go for that investment. Thank God. You know. However, we did put a beautiful patio down. We ordered beautiful furniture, which arrived 3 days before lockdown. So not even a backside has sat on these seats. They're fresh. They're so sanitized.
Oh, gosh. I'll be there on the 4th of July, don't worry.
Oh. So our dream for this outside space became a beautiful terrace. So think of a rooftop terrace with, you know, trailing plants and planters everywhere, and a breeze coming through, and these lovely sail type shades. And you could be anywhere, you know, and the fact that we can't all go abroad at the moment, and fabulous bit of sun, you could be on your hollybobs. Lovely.
Yeah, we can come to Wokingham and have afternoon tea at the same time.
Totally. So
really what this is doing, it's allowing you to reopen but still keep the outdoor space, which will massively help, because it's summer. For those people that are sort of a little bit on the side of caution, they can sit outside. Hopefully that will then mean that as we go through towards the autumn winter time, at least from an indoor space.
But people are, I like to sort of think of myself as a really average person when it comes to my thoughts and feelings about things. You know, I tend to think if I feel it, most other people do. And I think there's a sort of a cautious getting back to some sort of normality. Yet there's a definite section of the community that can't wait. And there's another section of the community that are like just putting the brakes on a little bit, just saying, whoa, give me a bit of time, give me a bit of time. Well, the polls that they're doing are showing it's about 70% are the cautious. So my feeling is that if we don't have to be gung-ho, we shouldn't. So we're not going to go to a 1 meter distance. We're going to stay at 2. So we're going to go safe. We're going to go transition, so outside first. Then we have a conservatory that fully opens up, and we've taken 50% of our seating out. And then we have the main cafe. We've taken 50% of our seating out of that. And we're moving to a non-queuing, much more relaxed table service. And we have an app where you can sit and order at the table. And our feeling is, you know, all of us, staff, customers alike, have been through a hell of a trauma, and now we just need life to just be a little bit easy, a little bit laid back, a little bit calm. We need the community to come back to their community hub and make new memories. I don't need people worrying about coming to us. I need people looking forward to a coffee. I don't need people to go, I want a coffee, but I'd like them to go, I need coffee, I need the Farm Café because it's safe.
And I think that's a great way of thinking about things, and that will benefit you massively, I'm sure. What are you looking forward to doing the most again when we are safely allowed to do so?
Well, it probably sounds weird, but life hasn't really changed for me, because I've been isolated so many times in the last few years, and the business is pretty much our life. So the only thing that's been different in lockdown is that haven't really been out much, you know, we didn't go out much anyway. We'd sort of go out for dinner occasionally and what have you. So I've actually looked at this as an opportunity to sort of change my life and not be married to my business, but be married to my husband rather more. And I have scones, you know.
Let's not go there again, Karen.
It's all about the scones.
It's all about the scones.
But yeah, the thing I'm looking forward to most is actually realizing that I don't have to work as hard as I do, because I already have a successful business. What I actually need to do is step back and enjoy it and start living my life, and that amazing team that have sat there and waited for us as much as we've waited for them, hand it over and go on guys, it's yours. Do a good job. I'm going out.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Actually,
Yeah.
I was going to ask, but it kind of links into what you just said, but I will ask it anyway as sort of a last kind of question. But what have you learned about yourself through this period?
I don't really know. I haven't had time to do any self-reflection. I've learned that when I say I don't have time to do things, I'm telling the truth. So when I say, you know, I don't exercise, I don't have time, I don't do this, I don't have time. When I did have periods of time in lockdown, the first thing I did was exercised and looked after myself and read and took time and sat in the garden. So I felt good that that wasn't an excuse of a busy person. That was a busy person. So I've learned that I do want to, you know, do things better and have a better balance. I just have been hellishly busy. And yeah, the other thing I guess I've learned is that I die in perfectionism. So I always knew I was a perfectionist, but bloody hell, I'm a pain in the butt, you know. I mean, I'm sorry though, you know, good enough is not good enough for me. You know, it does have to be right, but I think that maybe I need to tell myself that draft number 3 is right. Draft number 23 is overkill. Just get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually the point, and although you've not picked it back up, but the point that you made earlier about having a business that's already successful and it doesn't need you to spend the amount of time on it that you were before. I think for you that has to be a massive learning out of this, because there is so much more to life, and you and Vic need to take more, you know, time out and go in your RV and go on some fun trips, and you've got that for a reason, and that has to be a lesson for you out of this, surely.
It is huge, yeah. That's actually been like a stick of rock. If I've said one thing every day and consistently throughout this, and that is because this is like setting up a new business all over again. And I remember that 12 years ago, and I said to Vic, I'm not doing that again. We're not going back to the way things used to be. And I said, you know, if we come out of this in one piece, any which way we do, and we will, it's not going to be like it was. It's going to be very different. And you know,
I heard someone say the other day, and it made me think of you, if your house burns down tomorrow, sorry, like it did, but if it does, do you rebuild it to be the same house, or do you rebuild it to be a different house that's better, with better functionality?
We rebuilt it to be the same because we loved it, but we upgraded everything because the insurance company paid. So we had what we really wanted the second time around.
But it's the same with the business. You are reopening, but you're reopening something not exactly like you did 12 years ago. This is version 2.
You're absolutely right. And that's the one thing that we were saying, is that it's not as painful as the first time, in terms of we have all this experience, but if there's one thing that I'm laser focused on, is that we need to keep it simple, super, super simple. And we just need to do what we're good at. So, you know, forget that this is not the time to come up with, you know, a fantabulous new idea that's going to take time and money, and it may fall flat on its face. This is the time to literally drill into, what am I good at? You know, what can we do? What can we do well? And that's what we'll do. And you know, because things will be quieter, because not so many customers will be coming and that sort of thing, you've got that breath. And I think that's been a huge thing for us. So certainly we were joyous the first week of lockdown, because it was the first time we had together in years. You know, we only usually get Christmas off. You know, we've had weekends off all the way through lockdown, and it's been incredible. So, you know, that whole space I've loved, that deep breath I've loved, the quietness of the planet I've loved, that lack of noise has been lovely. So if we can have the Farm Cafe now that isn't such a desperately mad business, but it's a, just come and have breakfast. Just all is fine. Once you've had your smoothie, life will be fine.
Yeah. Correct. I like that one. On that note.
So yeah, that's perfect.
Thank you very much, Karen, for your time and for your insight. I think, and you know this anyway, I think you guys are amazing at what you do. You are so driven and so focused, and I don't know any other of my clients that walks away with a to-do list as long as your arm, and you have generally always ticked every single item off by the next session, and that's like a privilege in my world. So that is amazing. But you are just amazing at all the things that you have achieved, and you will continue to be amazing. So it's been a pleasure so far being part of that, and I look forward to seeing how this new side of the venture will develop as we go through the next 6 months, 12 months, whatever it may be.
Well, you know that we wouldn't have got to this point without you guys. So you know, the structure and the guidance is what keeps me going, and the training of working with a coach is what keeps me accountable and doing my actions. So don't underestimate that part of it.
Oh, go on then, I'll take that for a skirt or two. I'll take that. Thanks for your time today. You've been an absolute star. Thank you guys for watching this latest episode. We'll be back with another one soon. Thanks.